It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of May 9th, 1997, with only 4 movies to look at today, some notable ones. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Luc Besson's sci-fi action epic, The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element is one of those movies that everybody seems to really like. When it comes to Luc Besson, this is usually one of his films that gets the most acclaim. It's the one that's had the biggest following out of all his films. And I don't know, for me personally, I don't hate the movie. I'm just going to say that right now. But I don't think the movie is as good as everybody makes it out to be. Like I said, I don't hate this movie overall. And when I really look at the other films that Luc Besson has done as a director, this is probably his best overall film, outside of Le Film Nikita and also Leon the Professional. But at the same time, it's not one that I go back to a lot. I've watched it every once in a while to see if I could finally get to see what everybody's been talking about. But I don't know. I just don't see it. But let me be honest. Like I said, it's not a bad movie. It is not a bad movie by any means necessary. I just don't think it's this grand, epic film that I think a lot of people could consider it to be. I mean, I like the casting in here. Bruce Willis, I think, is very good here. I think Chris Tucker, the role that he plays in this, is actually kind of very amusing in this. Like, I think it's like, I've never seen him this chaotic before, and at the same time, it's kind of fun to watch him being this chaotic. Gary Oldman is a pretty good antagonist in here, and Mila Jovovich, I've talked bad about her over the years. I've never been a big fan of hers, but I will say this: she's actually not too bad in this movie. She's actually pretty solid in here. The visuals overall look really incredible. The cinematography is top notch. The visuals are impressive to look at. To me, I think it's just the story doesn't really do that much for me. I think it's a story that takes a little bit. There's a heavy metal segment. I think it's the first one that begins the film. That's kind of eerily similar to the premise of this film in the beginning. I don't know if anybody else can see that, but I can see a little bit of it in there. But as far as the story itself goes, it doesn't really do anything too grand or too significant to make it really stand out on its own. Like I said before, it's not a bad movie per se, and I have seen it a couple of other times, but it's not one that I go back to every once in a while. But once every what, maybe 5, 10 years, I usually go back and check it out, see if it has anything of value to it, other than what I just talked about. But other than that, not really. It's a movie that I've been kind of like, it's okay for what it is. It's not one I'd watch over and over again, but I don't hate it by any means necessary. I think there just isn't enough there to really make it stand out on its own, at least in my personal opinion. But everybody else seems to like it. So, like I said, like I always say, it's like whatever you like. So yeah, that's The Fifth Element for you. And I will say this: The Fifth Element is certainly a lot better than the next movie that we've got here, and that is Robin Williams and Billy Crystal and Ivan Reitman's Father's Day. I mean, you got all that talent there. How can you possibly go wrong? I have several questions to ask about this particular film. First of all, that kid does not look 17. I mean, he looks like he's in his mid-teens, not 17 years old. That's the first mistake. Number two, why did you keep all those bad takes of Robin Williams in there? Like, I know you're trying to do the whole thing about dad jokes and all that type of stuff, but give Robin Williams something funny to do. Like, even if he improv'd a lot in this, why did you take that stuff and just leave it and put that in the movie? I mean, like really, is that was really the best of Robin Williams' improvisation that you could get from this? 3, this plot makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I mean, this is a really lackluster plot that 20 years later Warner Brothers would try to do again, and Ivan Reitman also produced that film, which was Father Figures. And 4, it's just not funny. Like, you have Billy Crystal and Robin Williams, plus the cast that also includes Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Bruce Greenwood, Charles Rocket, Mel Gibson has a cameo in here. Sugar Ray is also in the movie. Jared Harris. I mean, there's a lot of talent in this movie, including the director Ivan Reitman. Another problem with the movie is that they open it up on Mother's Day weekend. Like, if you really wanted this to be successful, then why did you not put it out on Father's Day weekend? I mean, the movie is literally called Father's Day. Like it's like Warner Brothers knew this was bad and just said, "Screw it, we're gonna put it out. We're gonna put it somewhere else." But in fact, even Warner Brothers themselves looked at this and said, oh, this is not going to work. Like as they said, the Warner's executive basically looked at the film. They said, we have a package. You got Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, Ivan Reitman. We say great. They don't mess in the production whatsoever. They see the movie and they're just like, yeah, we've made a terrible mistake. They kept reshooting it and enhancing it, but the guy literally said, you can't fix something this bad. And this is a really, really bad movie. Like, how bad is it? Let me put it this way. When Billy Crystal and Robin Williams showed up on Friends, it was much funnier than anything in this movie. That's part of a 2-minute clip from Friends, and that had more laughs in it. It makes no sense whatsoever why they're there, and it's still much funnier than anything in this movie. And the writing team behind this is great too. Laurel Gans and Barbara Mendel. They wrote Parenthood. I mean, they wrote City Slickers. How in the world did this movie fall apart like this? Well, I mean, the basic answer to that question is that it's just a script that's not really worthy of a feature-length comedy. This is something that is expanded to something that's straight out of a sitcom. And I mean, the critical reviews for this is literally a bad sitcom. Like Roger Ebert basically said, it's a brainless, feather-length sitcom with too much sit and no com. I mean, he's right on about that. Like, this does not feel like a movie that deserves to be on a big screen. And it's just like, man, this is just unbearable to watch. Like, this is a terrible movie. With the talent that they have on board here, like, you expect a lot more when Billy Crystal and Robin Williams are on screen together. And this is just, it's a mess. It's a major, major mess on so many levels, and I cannot believe it. This is probably Ivan Reitman at his absolute worst as a filmmaker. Like, this is probably the worst thing he ever directed, and he didn't make a ton of great films after this point, but at least his heart was put in the films that would follow after this more than this film was. I mean, this is just not great. Not a great movie indeed. So yeah, one of the worst movies of 1997, no question about that. That's Father's Day. On to the next movie, and that is a film called Nowhere. From the same man that gave us the Doom Generation, and this is actually the third and final installment of the Teenage Apocalypse film trilogy that included Totally Effed Up and the Doom Generation, and has an amazing cast to it. I mean, Rachel True, Debbie Mazar, Kathleen Robinson, Christina Applegate, Guillermo Diaz, Ryan Felipe, Heather Graham, Beverly D'Angelo, Mina Savari, Denise Richards, Tracy Lord, Shannon Doherty, Rose McGowan, John Ritter, Charlotte Ray, Christopher Knight, Eve Plum, David Leisure, I mean, Stacey Keenan, a really stacked cast in this. The film is described as Beverly Hills 90210 on acid, and I can't really say if it's anything too spectacular or anything because I haven't seen this movie, and I actually have not seen any of these films in this particular trilogy, but just that cast alone, that means the potential for this could be very interesting, and these reviews, I mean, this could be something that was a little bit ahead of its time. I mean, it has reportedly gone on to have this cult status, and its reputation has grown over the years, and you basically follow these college students in Los Angeles and the strange lives they live in, and I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if this is any good or not, but I mean, this definitely could be something very bizarre and trippy. That could be something that's very funny too. But I don't know. Maybe this could be something interesting. Maybe not. I mean, I really don't have anything else for you because I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's good or not. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the last film we got here, and that is Twin Town. Actually, you gotta kind of wonder if this is actually the same movie as maybe the same people that made Nowhere, because this is a story about two brothers spending their time on drugs and joyriding, and when their father shows up, they demand compensation for it. And I mean, you could definitely see a little bit of what was also in Nowhere, but this is more like a little bit like Trainspotting. In fact, a lot of people criticize this as a reject version of Trainspotting, like a wannabe Trainspotting film. And I don't know. I mean, Reese Ifans, Dougray Scott, two very good actors here, and maybe it is that. Maybe it is that. Maybe it's just a wannabe version of Trainspotting, but I don't know. It might have something that could be worth it in the end. But considering that this director also went on to do Agent Cody Banks 2, Destination London, probably not a good sign for this film. These guys have been better in much better films. I mean, they might carry the film over, but other than that, though, I'm not too sure. But Haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. So, moving on. That is Twin Town. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. It's not looking like a pretty good week next week. If what I see here is true, not any one of these movies is going to be memorable. I mean, it goes from the top 6 films are basically the same 6 films from this weekend we're talking about. And then after this, you have stuff like Night Falls on Manhattan, Sprung, The Second Jungle Book, Mowgli and Baloo, The Van, Brothers in Trouble. 5 films I don't really know too much about, so... I mean, next time around, it should be a very quick episode to look at. So, I guess if you want to check that one out, or just wait for the next week, because I think Lost World's coming out the next week after that. So, either way, if you're going to be joining us for the next time, I thank you very much. But I wouldn't put it past you to miss that one and go to the next one. But what am I even talking about here? With that said, thank you very much for watching. And as always, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and of course remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from this channel. With that said, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.